Okay, so we're at the expo in central London, well, Olympia, and it's a great event, and we are just seeking out diverse communities, people from diverse communities, people of color who are here exhibiting and showcasing. And I came across this very remarkable family, and I'm just going to let you find out, because you're not here, what they do and why they're here. So who wants to go first? Wow, now I'm in trouble. Well, I'm gonna let him go first. What's your name?
Amir.
Amir. Okay. And so why are you here today, Amir?
To like support my family, and like we like sell books, and I like selling books and doing stuff and going to events and like just talking on stage.
I can tell you like to talk, Amir, but you talk very eloquently. Fantastic. Okay, well, let's have a lady come up next.
Okay, so my name's Isnt Bad Salmi. I'm 11 years old, and I've come here to speak. I'm one of the speakers at 4 o'clock, and just to support my family.
Okay. And so what will you be speaking about?
I'm speaking about love and connection.
Love and connection? What do you know about love and connection?
Well, that love is a powerful word and an action, but I believe that when you have love and connection in your life, it will really, really help you, because then you get more people to help you, and then you can grow a business as well.
Wow, and this is, yesterday we just had Valentine's Day, right? So this is the week of love. And what I'm hearing from you is like, if we could activate that love and express it in more areas of our life, even in our work, the world will be a better place, right? Wow, that's deep. Okay, so I'm definitely coming to check you guys out. So what about you, young man?
So I'm just here today. I want to inspire more people to like get off their iPads and get into the world, because that's what I'm all about. Like, basically, when I say my name, I say AKA Pints of Adventure, because I like to go out into the world and like explore and learn new things. Yeah.
And so you want is your thing about helping people to have the confidence to do the same thing, to go out into the world and explore and be adventurous?
And I also believe that adventures don't always have to be outside, like going into the wood. They can also be an adventure of self-discovery, where you learn about yourself, and like also you can find yourself inside of a book. You can think about what things can I relate to in this book, and what can I change and improve on from reading this book or from learning about myself.
I don't know what to say. Okay, we're definitely coming to see these guys at 4 o'clock. Right, okay. I'm just trying to compose all of that, and we still got 2 more to go. So we're going to save the best till last. No, I mean, all of you are just incredible. Who wants to go next?
You go first.
Okay.
So my name is R.I.C.H Salmi. I'm 14 years old, and I'm going to be speaking today about how key relationships are in life, and how people underestimate like congruency and integrity and other stuff like that.
So you're going to be talking about how people underestimate congruency and integrity. All right, and you're 14. So what do you know about congruency and integrity?
So like it's about like keeping your promises, make sure you go through it with your word no matter who's watching, and yeah.
I love that. Go, like, honor your word, regardless of who's watching. Do you do that? Does he do that?
Yeah, he's really good with keeping his word.
He was also featured on Channel 4 for Child Genius in 2017, and he's now known as he was known as one of the top 20 smartest children in the UK.
So I'm really privileged and honored right about now. Well, I can feel it anyway. I know it. Wow, okay. So, young lady, and last but not least.
So my name's Salmi. Like all of my siblings, I'm an author. I'm the author of the Kids That Dream Big book series that teaches kids how to get from where they are to where they desire to be, whether that's in terms of internally with like their confidence, whether that's financially, being able to publish a book and use that as pocket money. So various things, but I'm really passionate about helping people to find the stepping stones to get to where they desire to be. So what connections need to be made, who do they need to talk to, what do they need to put on paper, what can they go out and look for. So a lot of the time young people and kids, we go to our parents and ask them for pocket money or this or that, but sometimes we can take on the challenge ourselves and find different ways to be able to pursue our dreams and goals.
I love that. I love that. Me and you, give me 5, please. Like, I've been saying this to people, for adults, for ages. So my son, I taught him a little bit about financial literacy when he was about 5. And within 12 months, one day he came home and he showed me this £50 note. He was 6. I'm like, where you get that money from, son? And what he'd done, he'd come to my office, because I wasn't doing the pocket money thing. I'm like, you come to my office, you work for a few hours, and then I'll pay you. And so in my office, he'd seen the fax machine, he'd seen the printer, and you know Pokemon.
Yeah.
Right, so what he done, he just printed out 50 color images, right, so that was a lot of printing money, right? Put them in a folder, so now he's got this booklet of 50 images, and he just took it to a guy and said, I'll charge you £1 for each one. At 6. It changed from then. So I totally understand what you're saying. And if parents could only understand this, it'd make life easy for themselves. Wouldn't it?
Yeah. So, like, adding on that, there's a saying called, we need to be the generation we want to see. So, like, if parents want their children to be wealthy in life, or have a good wife, or have a good family, they need to begin practicing, because like my mum always says, play is practice. So what you're going to do now is what you're going to do older. So if you're going to waste your time just being angry and throwing your weight around, you're not going to get to where you want to be. So if you want to be a football player, you're not going to just watch people play football. You have to do it and you have to practice, because the smartest person in this world, they take it by their own rules. They don't follow rules, they make up their own rules. And you really, like, you guys are leaders, so not saying that it's not good to follow people, but first be a leader and then become a follower.
Wow. And the first part of leadership is being able to lead yourself, right?
Definitely, and I think even because I work with a lot of young adults, even when we go into talking about self-love and confidence, it's within, because sometimes I get even adults I work with where they're having trouble with relationships and this and that, or in their business, but it's like, let's go internally first. What's going on the inside? What values, what things are you attracting into your surroundings? Because people don't just come to you by mistake. You attract those people, you put out what you want to get in. So what are you putting out? What's inside? What cogs aren't really turning? What do you need to ignite? What do you need to look into to really take that next step for you and the people around you?
Yeah. So what did the stage, and you're the star. So whatever you share, people are going to go on, like, it's kind of like a ripple effect. When you pour water into a bowl full of water, what's going to happen? It's going to create a ripple, and then it expands till it gets to the widest surface of the bowl. So you need to expand your knowledge, not telling people that they can't achieve their dreams and that they can't get to where they want to be because of their color, their skin, or they don't have the knowledge. You need to first need to believe in yourself, and once people know that you have the confidence, then the ripple effect will expand to the wider rim of the bowl, and you know you've made it.
Amen. Oh my God, I feel like I'm in church. It's so cool. Oh, young man, do you want to add to that? Is there anything, or has the
He said it all.
He's kind of covered it all. Wow. I mean, I'm blown away. Because if this is what we have to look forward to in terms of the future, then thank God. Because it ain't gonna all go to waste. It's been amazing. And I know that the people who are tuning in are really kicking themselves like, why did we not come to the Best You? But it's all good because you're talking at 4 o'clock. And so we're going to come if it's okay. We're going to come and spend a little time and we'll capture some of the recording and share it with people. And we're going to stay connected because I love what you're about. Thank you so much. I think I'm going to pause because I was going to cut it here, but Mum has got an amazing story. So why don't we just bring Mum into the equation? What do you reckon, Andrew? Yeah? So, yeah, because we may as well just keep it rolling, right? And bring Mum in. So, Mum, would you like to come and grab a seat? So we just been blessed to talk to 5 amazing souls, and I'm like, wow, where do you get that? And so, to whom much is given, much is expected. And so, I'm looking at these amazing souls, and I'm like, well, where'd they come from? Who has been blessed with them? And the person that's been blessed with them is you. How did this happen?
It's interesting actually, because I think this naturally happens in every family. I think that us as parents can sometimes get in the way of the magic. So
Hold on, sorry, can you say that again, please?
I think it happens in every family. I think all children are born as blank canvases. They're looking to be added to, or the sculpture to be created in them. But us as parents, we get in the way of the magic. So I think that they already know what to do. And what I learned at a very young age is that it's not my place as a parent to interrupt that, because we all come into this planet knowing that we are a unique piece of the puzzle, and we just take time to slot into that piece. But when we get all the turbulence of who we need to be from people, we get confused about who that is. So life, when we become adults now, we have all this lime scale of what everyone else creates, and then you have to go backwards and then uncreate it. So I thought to myself, when I become a parent, why don't I allow them to be who they are, so they can pick up as less lime scale as possible, so then they can basically have fun learning.
So hold on, so what you did, you actually engaged, correct me if I'm wrong, in conscious parenting?
Yes, getting to know who they are individually, yes. And conscious parenting, that's how you put it in a nutshell.
Wow. Who does that? Like, I don't know many people that go into parenting consciously.
Some of us do it unconsciously.
We just fall into it, you know, like we got to get a nice school, we got to put them nice clothes, and that's it, and feed them good food, right?
Absolutely, and you know, I think all due respect to that as well, we all do our best, and I think the reason why I chose to do it this way was because I was crushed. There were things that took place in my childhood that I realised inflicted a lot of pain, and as a child you're told to be seen and not heard, and you know, you're only a child, you don't know anything, and I remembered that hurt me. And when I left school, I remember saying I had these big dreams, and the lady said to me, no, you're a woman, you're going to be a secretary or work in a checkout. And I thought, wow, that's so crushing. Yeah,
and that's why I wanted to bring you into the equation, because we had a little conversation before we had the conversation. Absolutely. And you were telling me your story, and I was like, we do need to capture this, because there are thousands, if not tens of thousands of people that have been in a position of similar scenario to you. So before you share your story, what I would just like to point out that came to me as you were speaking is that despite the pain that you went through, isn't it amazing that a blessing has come from that? Yes. You know, my spiritual mentor wrote in his book, he talks about pain is not about you. Whereas we are tending to generally, when we have a painful experience, we identify with that pain. But what if the universe said, you know what, I love you, darling, but there's going to be a blessing and it's going to hurt a little bit, just like giving birth. When you're giving birth, it hurts, right? Yes. But the moment the child is born, you forget the pain because you have these beautiful souls. So for our listeners and our viewers, can you tell me, if you care to, a little bit of the things that you were sharing with me about your parenting, you know, the parents that you had, and the challenges that they had.
Yeah, so my mother is St. Lucian and my father is Nigerian. And I remember when I was growing up, there was a lot of this, how can I say, cultural hatred. Because the way I see it, we were both black, right? We're all the same, I think.
I feel you.
But pretty much my grandmother on my West Indian side did not like my Nigerian grandmother and vice versa.
Right.
So there were these two young adults that came together who were madly in love. Well, they said that's just rubbish. You're young, you don't know anything, and it can't go further than that.
And I'm so glad that you say this, because so I often when I do my talks, and I've actually written it in my book about how life used to be 30, 40, 50 years ago. And some people embrace it as the truth, and some people till this day still get upset about it as if it didn't happen. But I'm like, it's not an argument.
Exactly.
It's facts.
Exactly.
And here you are sharing and echoing that.
Well, absolutely, and I like what you said. It's a timeless act, to be honest, because these things still take place today. I'm actually married to a Muslim, and there are, every culture has, without it being too judgmental, every culture has this perception of how do we preserve ourselves for generations to come. And the best way to do that is to keep people out and continue things as we've always done. So what was for myself when I was growing up, it was a case that my father had to be anything but Nigerian. So I could say he was Dominican, Jamaican. There were like certain places were okay and certain places wasn't. But I was like, wow, but that's not who he is. I was confused. So there was this internal conflict taking place inside me.
Right, because
and this
50% of who you are is
exactly. So I had identity issues growing up. And then you go into the world where you don't see people. You don't see the people that look like you. So imagine being a young girl trying to find out who you are. Father's not around. You've been told that you're no good because you're half of this. You can't. So you're somewhat hiding yourself.
Right.
So I didn't start making my own decisions until I was around 32, because part of me was always hidden. So only a part of me actually birthed into the world.
Wow.
I'm now 38 now, and I'm starting to embody who I am.
Wow.
And then obviously transition that onto my children.
That's amazing, and it really does speak and demonstrate that the Creator, God, call him what you will, is at work, in that certainly in the last decade, people who have been stuck and who had blockages, they're able to somehow miraculously now it's almost like there's a supportive, loving energy that's enabling you to do the things that you were not able to do. And you're nodding your head because you feel me, right?
Yes, absolutely.
You feel me. It's so I want to take you back a little bit though, because I just want to pick up on something, because this is something that we have not been doing in our community for a long time. It's a very recent thing to be able to be open and speak, And I love this because these are our leaders. My spiritual mentor said, parents don't realize that actually your children are your teachers. And so for me, I say that I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for young people. So we do a lot of communication and conversation. 15 years ago, we were doing that with young people, and I saw the power of healing just by communicating. Hence the reason why we're doing this and why I'm asking you to say certain things and express certain things, because people listening to you are speaking to their soul, because they are identifying with you. So you spoke about the fact that your mum and dad were madly in love. They weren't actually madly in love, they were consciously in love, weren't they? They had discovered themselves, and yet other people forced them to be apart. Is that right?
Yes. There was, there's threats, and I remember being in school, similar threats will happen, that my father was having to adhere to the request, or he would be sent back to Nigeria. And, I can't really envision how that would be, to actually feel that you have to walk away from someone you're in love with just because they're from somewhere that's forbidden.
Does that make sense?
Exactly. It doesn't make any sense to me.
And I'm asking you, the viewers, it doesn't make any sense. Yet these are some of the things that we are having to deal with as a community. Now, if it wasn't for the grace of your Creator, you've only been blessed in the last 6 years to be in this new space. But had it not been for that, you would have been walking wounded.
Oh God, no, absolutely. I think, with all due respect, I had been walking wounded. But what I learned was that, and again, it's about the order, the alignment. So when you align with who you are as a person, so I'm very spiritual, so I had to listen to my ordered steps. I couldn't create this if it was me consciously doing this. I had to surrender to the process.
I hear you.
So it was my pain that allowed me to be rebirthed.
Oh,
so does that make sense?
I hear you,
so I had
100.
to then realize that who else is out there that I'm just one step ahead. It's not miles away, it's one step ahead that I can look back and say, it's okay, just take another step. And that's what I did. I started taking pigeon steps. And as I started taking one step at a time, this started to come together. It started to yoke. And it's purely divine. I get wowed by it because it's God's work.
Wow. And I love what you're saying about the one step, because we're living in a time where it's no longer about reading about these things in the passages of a book, but what you just expressed is that one step at a time is truly a demonstration of faith. Is it not?
Absolutely, 100%. That's exactly what it is.
And your faith has brought you this.
Absolutely.
And you're smiling from the depth of your soul, and they can feel you.
Yes.
Because it speaks louder than words, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
The parents need to be, most parents out there, you really need to be part of the solution and not be blinded by the illusion, because
Oh, no. Sorry. Can we have that again, please? Take 2.
So most parents out there, I think that you need to be looking at the solution, not be blinded by the illusion. Because most people say we can't marry into this, we can't marry into that, but maybe it's the hurt that they've gone through by doing this or by doing that, but they don't really know how it will affect you in your life. So I think most parents out there should
So when you talk about the illusion, you're talking about that which appears in front of us but is not actually real.
Yeah, because most people say this culture isn't bad because one person done something wrong, or this other culture is bad because that person, one person hit me, and then I'm not going to talk to them. It's just adults are not being adults, they're being children.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that? Oh, that's why I was laughing. I knew it was coming. So there's a young person saying to adults, why are you doing that? You're acting like children. and we all get it, right?
I think that sort of just adding on to what we've been speaking about, even though the hurt has maybe come from the prior generations, in essence, they've sort of done the best of what they know. Because in a lot of cultures, like African cultures, you get told to maybe go into becoming a doctor and stuff like that, because it's what they know will give you a sustainable life. So it isn't so much having a hatred towards that, but it's taking it as a learning experience and trying to grow from that. Because in essence, whose family dislikes them, they're just doing the best of what they currently know. So it's just appreciating that, taking that on your journey with you, and just seeing how you can maybe take elements of what you've been taught and see where it takes you in life.
Absolutely. But what it demonstrates also is that, so here they are saying go this way or go that way because they think that's going to be in your best interest. But actually, what it has shown is that none of us know what's in our best interest. It's only the Creator.
Yeah, it's like amazed. Maybe the cultures that they're saying not to marry into is actually the path that they've never tried before. Or maybe because the ancestors have told them this culture isn't good because of all the stories that they've heard from the generation before that and the generation before that. So if we keep on downloading this mentality into other adults, because it's basically like me programming a robot. If I'm I'm about to be a father, and then when my child's about 5 years old, I'm gonna program him and say that you can't marry into this culture. Why? Because my auntie had a really bad downfall with it.
That's the power. See, what I love about this is that that's the dynamics, is that when you allow your family to be birthed individually but still holistically, they start having their own voices, and I've learned so much from what I hear from them. And I really invite you parents as a family, like, listen to what your children are sharing. And in my heart it feels I also love to share, like, we need to fully support our families, and there's this whole essence about women need supporting, and the kids, we can't push out our men, because I believe that a family needs to be strengthened with all vessels. And I myself, I've experienced domestic violence. It was one of the things that triggered me to go in through this, is that our men they're in dire state right now. They're in serious pain, but who can they talk to? Not only who can they talk to, who's willing to support them when they're really, really into breakdown. So the whole reason why we're talking about dreaming big together as a family is like realizing that everyone has an integral part of the piece to the puzzle, and the picture can't be complete if one piece is missing. You understand that you've got a 1,000-piece puzzle, you've got all the pieces, but you got to 999 and there's one missing. You can't put that out for display. So we need to really heal our families holistically, starting with the self, then the family, then the community, and that's really our message. That's our core message, and this is why they all yoke individually but together, because they're all a unique piece of the puzzle, and they want to connect to those different age groups and just awaken that.
Wow.
Did you tell them about the workshop that you did, Arsenal? Oh, okay.
Adults out there, remember just one thing: you are who you are and who you choose to be, no matter what.
Thank you. I'm just so blessed today with this opportunity to meet you guys, and I just really appreciate what you just said about the men, in the sense that part of what's happening here is a result of that feminine energy of love and care that's bringing families together and people sharing. But some people are losing sight of that feminine energy and think that it's all about the female, not realizing that energy has got nothing to do with sex. And so as a result, many men are literally being just kicked to the curb. It was bad for us already, but now it's like, oh, we're doing this women-only event. Where's the opportunities for men? Oh, well, we're not doing that. So it's even worse. I know for certain if it wasn't for my spiritual mentor, I wouldn't be where I am today. I was blessed. I was one of the fortunate ones. But what about the others? So I really appreciate what you're sharing, and I hope that you all are listening and hearing, and we have to do something about it. And so one of the things that we're doing, because you probably figured that I'm a man of action, I don't really like to talk. If I see that there really is a problem and I've been blessed to be able to do something about it, do it. And hence the reason why we created D.A.D.A TV, to create a platform that will showcase people of diverse colors and those who have been deemed as disadvantaged, whether it be young, women, whatever, and showcase and show the real story. But also begin to have these dinner discussions. And our vision is that we're going to have these dinner discussions across the country with ambassadors, small groups where they understand these spiritual principles that you're talking about, and we can begin to have those conversations, because it's a healing process, right? And you're smiling because you feel me, right? You feel me, yeah?
Yes,
100.
absolutely.
That's great. So this is what it's about. Do you want to say something on that?
I'm really fired up by that, because I was just saying, if it's okay to add about the workshop. Now, I'm married, so it's his stepfather, and I remember walking home with my son, and he said, "Mum, I need a mentor." And I froze. I was like, he was really young, and I was thinking, well, that for a child to ask for a mentor, not for business, I need a mentor, I don't know how to become a man. So Dad's there, his body's there, but his heart and mind isn't. There's no presence, he's not fully there, and it's not. I don't hate him, but
He said that.
this is my son. So we're just walking home from school, and I was frozen. But I'm thinking, be present, be strong, because I didn't realise he had the same perspective as an adult, with the awareness. So he said that the pain that I feel is really deep-rooted, Mum, and it hurts me because I'm scared. I don't know how to become a man. I don't know what to do. So remember, this is his stepfather. So I'm thinking, oh my God, like what's going on? How's it going to impact him? So he said, "Mum, my problem is I don't want to point fingers at pups, because I think that men when you point fingers, they feel attacked. So I'm going to do something about this. So he's an action taker. He applied for a grant. He set up I'm That Kid. This is what this is about. And he set up his first workshop in Arsenal. So the idea, he was using football to bring fathers and sons together. So he set up I'm That Kid, bridging the gap between fathers and sons. So it was it was a very emotional day, but there were boys there without their dads, there were boys there with their mums. We had volunteers, Trey Sean had volunteers with the sons that turned up without their fathers, and there were tears, they were writing dad letters. And I thought to myself, what's going on in our community that our men are either unable to stand up, sometimes they ridicule their children, and they unconsciously bully, because they don't do it because they sometimes want, some people do, but sometimes they do it because that's what happened to them. But my son, when he said that to me, it touched my heart so deeply, and those sort of steps in my life that's taken place, each of them in different ways, made me realise I have to listen to my children. You see, maybe you're at home and your child's saying something and they have a solution to a wider programme that's bigger than you can imagine. Because when I was in Arsenal and I saw my son stand up, I wasn't there presenting. My son was presenting with the help of someone else, and I went, wow. It's not for us as parents to get in the way of what God is doing through our younger generation, because that's in the tomorrow that we can't envision. Our children don't belong to us, they come through us, and we have to assist them. And that really touched my heart. So I'm honoured to share this, and I really love the platform you created, because we're very passionate as a family that what's happened to us, how can we take it and utilise it and start making the change, create those beautiful ripple effects of love, because that's what it's about. It's not just the pain, we've all gone through pain, but how can that pain be a gift to someone else, and how can that spread across the globe?
Sister, do you mind if I have a hug, please? And we've done it on camera because the love is just too real. We just have to, my mentor says, when the spirit of love is felt, you have to just honour it. It doesn't mean a sexual thing, And I just want to honour each and every one of you. Like, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. You should have been here. You should have been here. Don't worry. We're going to see you guys at 4 o'clock. You're doing something. So we're going to...